This exercise is designed to help you get used to the many options that we offer in the Autoflex section. What we're going to do is first open up your PractiCAD exercise template. Now, if you're getting to this exercise, you've probably done many of these already. So we're going to move a little faster in the beginning because you should have already seen the exercises on placing down grills. But what we're going to do is place 6 grills down at bottom 10 foot at these locations on our exercise template. To do that, I'm going to go into the architectural bin. I'm going to choose a supply grill. Remember, your options might be different than that of this tutorial. Going to click on it, and then what we're going to do is come over and just make sure that the grill is 24 by 24. That's the size of the grills or the rectangles that are representing grills on the PractiCAD exercise template. And we're going to come down here and give it an airflow of 200. And you can give a model number here. We're going to say ABC123. Give it a model number. The model number will show up on the tag. Notice that we're holding this by Z bottom. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give a 10-foot elevation to this particular grill. And we're going to place it on the drawing. So what we're going to do is place it on the drawing once. And now we're going to copy it to all the other grills. And currently, if you click on your grill, it should be at 10 foot. And what we're going to do is we're going to come over to the automatics and we're going to turn replace Z on. That's going to make sure that when we copy, the grill's not going to lose its elevation and go down to the 0 elevation of this rectangle. To copy, we're going to highlight both the grill and the tag, and then we're going to use the copy tool. For you, it would be under the Home tab in your AutoCAD ribbon panel, and under the Modify section, you're going to have the Copy tool. Going to click on Copy, and then we're going to click on the node point. If you don't see it, make sure that your O snaps are on. Notice that the O snaps are on. And then we're just going to copy by clicking at each place. If you did this correctly, you should have the tag being copied with it. Once you're done, you can hit escape and delete the original grill. So we should have 6 grills on the drawing. That's the setup to start this exercise. And if you click on them, they should be at bottom 10 foot as you see here. Now what we need to do is draw ductwork. And we're going to just draw ductwork going right through the center of all these grills. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw duct through the center of the grills. So to do that, we're going to first grab a piece of rectangular duct. We're going to click on the drawing once. Then what we're going to do is we're going to place the first piece down in between the midpoints of these 2 grills. To do that, what we're going to do is hold the Shift key down and right click. And we're going to pick mid between 2 points. And when we do that, you should see in the command line that it says first point of mid. And what we're going to do is pick the edge of the grill here. And then it's going to ask for the second point of mid. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up and we're going to pick this corner point here so that we're going to get it in between the 2 evenly. And when we click a second time, it's already going to put that duct perfectly in between the 2 of them. And what we're going to do here is we're going to click once as the polar tracking is on. We're going to click once and we're just going to use U spacebar for up. And we're going to use the up routing method. And we're just going to route till we go past these particular grills. Now the last thing we want to do is change the elevation. So what we're going to do is we're going to edit the elevation. We're going to click on the first piece of duct. Go into the elevation box, and we're going to set the elevation to be bottom at 13 foot. So bottom at 13 foot. Make sure that the entire duct line's at bottom at 13 foot now. Now we should be ready to start this exercise. What we want to do is focus on just this fitting assembly first. What we're going to do is we're going to click on the grill. Then we're going to click on the duct. And what you're going to do is go into your PractiCAD ribbon I have it under the PCAD ACAD. You'll have it under the PractiCAD section. And go over to the Autoflex icon in your automatics panel. And we can turn on the ribbon panels for you so you can see which one is the automatic panel. We're going to show panel tiles. So underneath the automatic panel, we have the Autoflex button. So we're going to click on it while we got a grill and duct highlighted. Now what we're going to route to start, we're going to use a round duct assembly. And what we're going to do is say duct side tab. If we're going to route to a round neck grill, which we're doing, we're going to choose to use tap. And the tap we're going to use for this tutorial, we're going to use conicals. Now we're using conicals because conicals come with the standard default database for most PractiCADs. However, if you do not have conicals, choose a catalog that you've created and highlight that catalog name. If you do that, PractiCAD is going to go into this catalog for you and select the item out of which the diameter out of that entity matches the diameter of the round neck grill. So since our grill neck in this tutorial is 12 inches, it's going to use the 12-inch conical on its own. But all we need to do is highlight the name of the catalog conicals. Down here we've got add to neck size. We don't need the conical to be any larger than the neck of the grill. So we want this parameter for the first route to be 0. So keep it at 0. Then we're going to go to the route tab. We're stating that we're going to need round duct. So we're not going to pick options for rectangular. Click on round duct. Under the straight scenario, what we want to do is we want to come over to the right and make sure you choose spiral pipe, because we want spiral pipe fitting to be used. In this exercise, I'm actually using a catalog that was created called Spiral, but we can also choose just to use the default spiral pipe fitting. Choose whatever you'd like here. Now we're going to say default duct yes. That means we want finished length pipe. My default stock length is set for pipe to 10 foot. So wherever possible, PractiCAD is going to use 10-foot lengths. Use fitting straights. We're going to say no for this first route. Generally, when you're routing round assemblies, the elbows are being purchased or bought out. So we don't want them to change. If we say use fitting straights yes, PractiCAD is going to extend the straights of those fittings, and that's not what we want for this route. So we're going to say use fitting straights no. And then we want to say use variable length duct yes. That's going to be important because default duct is only going to go so far, and we're going to need little pieces of duct to connect between the elbow and the full length pieces. So we got to have this set to yes. Now what we're going to do is go through the other scenarios. For offset, just set everything currently to 0. We're going to say minimal length, straight in, all 0. If offset is set to 0, if the maximal offset to diameter ratio is set to 0, PractiCAD is never going to use one of these offset fittings. It'll always go for the turn scenario, unless you have it on a specific side approach option. We'll go over that later in the exercise. So now what we're going to do is go to turn. Currently we've got radius factor 1. And notice we've got the round elbow gourd 5. Choose the round elbow gourd 5. We're going to use it later. And that means if we go to make a turn and a turn is needed, PractiCAD should use this specific fitting. For 2 rectangular, we're not going to use any of this in this exercise. All the parameters are set to 0. And sizing, we're going to keep everything set to 0 too. In this exercise, we're not going to resize anything during this route. It's rare that we do utilize both of these options. The option we use the most is straight and turn. Once we've got the proper choices in the route tab, we're going to click on the grill side. Now what we want to do is say, what if we have a round neck? So we're routing to round neck, so check the round neck. Remember that you can simultaneously choose options for rectangular neck and round neck grills and run both of those routes with different options at the same time. But to start off, we're just going to run one route using the round neck. Now what we're going to do is we got 4 options here. We're going to say that we want to use the elbow option. That means that to start, PractiCAD is going to choose the conical for the duct side. That's going to be the tap. Spiral pipe for the route. And then it's going to route all the way out to the grill. And after that, we're going to use an elbow to bend down to the grill and attach it. And what we're going to do is say, let's use a short adjustable elbow catalog. Remember, if you don't have a short adjustable elbow catalog, you can choose just the round elbow gourd 3, or you can choose any other catalog that you got. Make sure that when you pick your elbow here, that you do pick the catalog name and not an individual fitting. You want to go with the catalog name. Once we've done that, we're going to say that we would like to use flex in this particular route. So we're going to check flex. When you check flex, make sure that you've selected a catalog for flex. Here what we're going to do is select this catalog. There's a catalog I have of flex from 2 to 24 inches. If you don't have it on your desktop, you can just click on this flex, the PractiCAD original flex. And this will work as well. It'll resize it to fit whatever pipe we're attaching to. But I'm going to be choosing flex here. Layer by fitting is an option. If you'd like the flex to be placed on the layer that the fitting we're attaching to is on, you can keep it checked. Here we're going to keep it unchecked. We'd like the flex to go to its own flex layer. It's going to follow the settings in our PractiCAD layer mechanism. Now what we're going to do is pick a min flex length. So let's say that the min flex length is going to be 1 inch. We're going to change it here to 6 inches. Change yours to whatever you'd like. But let's make sure that the max flex length for both of us is going to be 60 inches or 5 feet long. So we're going to have min flex length 6, max flex length 60 inches. Now we're going to say to allow flex bending. We're going to go between these choices so you can get comfortable with these settings. We're going to start off saying allow flex bending. Now the last thing we need to do is under the selection, we want to make sure that under the selection tab we have current selection duct and current selection air devices. I recommend that we use automatics with current selection. I think it's better to highlight your duct and your entities first and then run the automatic. That's the way most of the automatics that are preset in the PractiCAD data come. So generally, I don't usually touch this ever. I never really go into the selection tab once we've done it once. So once you've got all of our choices selected, all we need to do is press OK. And when we do that, if you did it correctly, you should get a conical, then spiral pipe, then flex, and running right to the grill. Now if you didn't get that assembly, pause, backtrack the video, and try it again. Now what we're going to do is we're going to run another automatic from this grill here. And what we're going to do is we're going to highlight both pieces of duct so that PractiCAD is going to choose which one's closer, and we're going to highlight the grill. Now you'll notice that this grill right here seems to be a little bit too close to the joint. So most likely what's going to happen is we're going to need some sort of flex offset in order to make this route. And what we're going to do is we're going to highlight all of these, and we're going to come over to the Autoflex icon and click on it again. Now remember, PractiCAD remembers the last settings you used. So all of the parameters we just put in are still here. As long as we run that route once, they're all here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go over to the GRD side, and we're just going to uncheck the button that says Allow Flex Bending. And what that's going to do is it's going to force PractiCAD to use whatever choice we have here. And we've chosen elbows, and on this exercise I've chosen a short adjustable elbow. We're going to say Allow Flex Bending, and we're going to press OK. And when you do that, you're going to see that it's going to put in the same route, but it's going to give us an elbow turning down. And you can see that by highlighting and then going over to your partial view icon, which is in your tools in your PractiCAD ribbon. And you can see right here that if we use partial view, we've got an elbow, the short adjustable elbow turning down, and then flex. So when we use that option, we always get an elbow. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to run another assembly to this grill, but we're not going to do it head on. This time choose the piece of duct that's a couple pieces away from this particular grill. And then what we're going to do is click on the grill. So we got this duct highlighted and this grill highlighted. And now what we're going to do is we're going to pick an Autoflex icon again. However, this time we're going to change the assembly a little bit. We're going to keep the duct-sided conicals. We're going to keep the route as is, but double check for this exercise that under round, under turn, that you've got the round elbow gourd 5, because that's the elbow that PractiCAD should use when you go to make this turn in this exercise. Now on the grill side, what we're going to do is we're going to uncheck side approach first. We're going to keep everything else the same, but we're going to uncheck side approach. And what that should do is it should put 2 elbows, and it should calculate the angle of those elbows for us, and it should route the duct right to the grill. So what we're going to do is we got everything highlighted, we uncheck side approach, we're now going to press OK. And you can see here that PractiCAD puts a conical as close to the edge as possible. Then it puts in an elbow, and it's calculating a 29-degree elbow. And if you do double click on that elbow here, you'll be able to see that that elbow is the round elbow gourd 5. It's coming right out of the route tab. So it's choosing the proper fittings. It's just picking 2 identical angles in order to route this correctly for us. Okay, once you've done that, use the Control Z. I'm going to hold down Control and hit Z, and I'm going to do that as many times to undo. You can even do U spacebar in the command line, but undo what you just did. Once you got everything off, highlight that grill again and then highlight the same duct. And this time we're going to do a side approach, which means we want to take a 90-degree turn. And we're going to come over into the Autoflex icon and click on it. And here what we're going to do is just go back to the GRD side. Remember, all the settings are retaining from each route to another. So we're keeping all the same settings. We're only changing 1 or 2 things. Here what we're going to do is say check side approach. So keep side approach checked. And now what we want to do is we want to press OK again. And if you did this correctly, you should get a conical spiral, and you should get that 5 gourd elbow. It should be turned on to 90, and it should turn right down. And you have routed that successfully. Once again, if you didn't get that route, double check your elevations. Make sure your elevations are correct. Double check the parameters. Whenever an Autoflex doesn't work, you really need to go through each option in each tab to find out what's wrong. If anything was misplaced, or if you forgot to check something, or if you didn't select the proper option in any one of the 4 tabs in Autoflex, there's a good chance your Autoflex will not route. There's a lot of options, and they have to make sure that they work with one another. This is a feature that takes a little bit of practice to get used to. Okay, what we're going to do now is pan down to this portion of the drawing. And let's highlight the round neck grill and this piece of duct. And what we're going to do now is go over to the Autoflex and let's change the fittings. Let's say on the duct side for a round neck grill that we don't want to use conicals. Go and select the tap and choose the 45-degree boot tap. The 45-degree boot tap's a very good fitting. It's got a formula that calculates the width in based on the width out, and it always keeps it at a 45-degree angle. It's one of the most widely used boot tap fittings we have in the system. So it's nice that they added it to this option. So choose a 45-degree boot tap. And notice that we got reverse tap unchecked. If we check this, it's going to point the tip of the boot in the opposite direction. It's going to flip it over 180, but we don't want to do that here. And what we want to do is say add to neck size. Let's put in the value 6. What that means is PractiCAD is going to take the neck of this grill, which is 12 inches in diameter, and it's going to add 6 inches to it to make 18 inches, and it's going to make the width out of this boot tap 18 inches as a default. So if we know the boot tap's width out needs to be a certain amount greater than the grill neck, we can use add to neck size, and we're going to do that here. Once you've done that, go to the route tab. Now since we're using a boot tap, we're going to get rectangular duct. So we need to choose the choices for rectangular duct. And what we're going to do here is we're going to say, let's do it for straight duct. And we're going to make sure that for the straight route, we got rectangular straight duct selected. And what we're going to do is we're going to say use default duct, yes. We're going to say use fitting straights, no. We're going to say use variable length, yes. What that's going to do is it's not going to extend the straights of the boot tap. It's going to use a little short joint. But if you want the boot tap straights to extend, you're going to want to make sure use fitting straights is set as yes, so that it extends those boot tap straights. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go to offset. We're going to keep everything at 0. We're not going to use an offset. We're going to do right now a route, and we're going to keep offset all at 0. For turn, we're going to get prepared for later. Choose the square elbow for the turn and give it a minimal straight that you would normally use. Let's use 6 and 6 inches, minimal straight. We are going to do a 90-degree turn in this exercise, so we might as well get the route tab prepped. To round, we don't need anything. And for sizing, keep everything at 0. So for to round and sizing, keep all the parameters at 0. We're not going to offset in this exercise. Most of the time, you're going straight at grills, or you're going to go at them at a 90. Once you've chosen those parameters, let's switch to the grill side. Now, for a round neck grill, you got to have round neck checked. We're not going to use an elbow. What we're going to do is we're going to route duct over the grill, and then we're going to tap to the bottom of it. So what we want to do is we want to choose tap. And here you want to choose what tap you want to tap to the bottom of the rectangular neck or the rectangular duct that we're going to route over this grill. And what we have here is we got a spin-in catalog, which I've got on my desktop, and I'm going to use the spin-in catalog. And I'm going to check the whole thing. I'm going to check the spin-ins catalog. Got a little blue icon. And it should now choose the proper spin collar for us. These spin collars are going to be downloaded to PractiCAD and manufactured. If you don't need to manufacture spin collars, you can use collar for spin collar accessories. But most of the time we're using tap. There's a lot more options here. We can choose from a variety of PractiCAD fittings. Now what we need to do is say, we're going to route this duct line all the way out to the grill. But we want to close this duct line off at the end. And we're going to do that with an end cap. The end cap is a choice for only the collar and tap options. And we're going to check it. And when we do that, we now need to pick the rectangular end cap we'd like to use. I'm going to choose the rectangular end cap we got right here as a default. Now the last thing we're going to do is we're going to say use flex. You don't have to use flex. We can uncheck it and it'll route hard spiral pipe from the spin collar down. But here what we're going to do is say let's use flex after a spin collar. Now the last thing we want to do is we want to put in a value for add length. If we go to run a duct route out to the grill and we have add length set at 0, PractiCAD will run all the way up to the grill's center point, the dead center of the neck. But we don't want the route to go to the center of the neck. We want the route to go further. We want it to go 6 inches past the face of the grill. Now the grill's 2 feet, so the center point is a foot away. So if we do add 12, the end of the duct will go to the end of the grill. If we say add 18, the end of the duct's going to go 6 inches past the grill because we're using a 2 foot by 2 foot grill. And hopefully you've watched all the tutorials explaining the options for the Autoflex section. So we're going to set add length to 18. And we're going to check side approach too because we're going to use it. We're going to keep side approach checked. Now once we've got all those chosen, all we're going to do now is press OK. And if you did that correctly, it should route the boot tap all the way out. And you can see what it did here. It offset the flex because when we put this rectangular neck down, this rectangular duct, we lined it up with the grill. So basically, we don't have enough room for this boot tap to line perfectly up. But you can see that the flex is going to offset for us. You can also see that it's gone 6 inches past and it's put an end cap on. So this is a good route. It's exactly what we were looking to do. Now what we're going to do, once that route's correct, pick this piece of grill here, and then select a piece of duct someplace in the distance. What we're going to do is we're going to pick this one. And all we're going to do is go back into the Autoflex icon. And we're going to run it again. Just press OK with all the parameters the same. If you press OK, it's going to do the same thing. What it's going to do is, because on the grill side, we have side approach checked, it's going to put a 90-degree turn. We're going to press OK. Now, take a look here. I didn't use fitting straights. So I got a little piece of duct here. I got a little piece of duct here. Probably be better if you're going to do a turn to use fitting straights so that it extends the elbow straights when it goes to make these turns. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a Control Z, and I'm going to highlight the grill and highlight that duct again. And then we're going to come into the Autoflex icon, and we're going to go into the Route tab. And we're going to modify this route just a little bit. We're going to go into Route, under the Route tab, Rectangular Duct, and by the turn, or by the straight, we're going to say Use Fitting Straights, yes. Now we're going to press OK. And it's going to run the same route, but with using fitting straights. And if we do that, you're going to see the PractiCAD is going to extend the straights of the elbow. And we just eliminated those two little bastard pieces we didn't want to use. Those two small joints are now gone. So the last grill, try to attach it with a fitting assembly of your choice. Try to work on attaching the last grill with an assembly. Now you'll notice that the last grill happens to be lined up with the joint. So whenever you do that, it's usually good to use an auto route that offers flex. So you'll notice here what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight both. And then what we're going to do is go into the Autoflex. And this time we're going to choose a squared around. You can choose anything you want. We're going to find the STOD catalog. We're going to pick the STOD catalog. And under the route, I'm going to go to round duct. I'm going to make sure it's set at yes, no, yes for my parameters. The GRD side, I'm going to say let's do an elbow. I'm going to keep it on short adjustable elbow. And keep my flex checked. And I'm actually going to say allow flex bending here. I'm going to have it bend to the flex, but you don't have to. Just choose the decision you like. And I'm going to press OK. And now what it's going to do is it's going to route. Now take a look here. We've actually got an error that happened when we went to route this. And when that happened, let's double check what we did wrong. We're going to do some troubleshooting. What we're going to do is going to Control Z. Going to click back on the grill and back on these two pieces. I'm going to go back into the Autoflex. And we're going to go over each tab to find out where we might have made a mistake. And the mistake is right here. Under the duct side, we chose round neck grill, and we chose STODs. But we decided to add to neck size 6 inches. Because PractiCAD retained the settings, we actually didn't have this set right. This should be 0. We don't want the neck of the squared around. We wanted the neck of the angled boot tab. And this is something you got to be careful with. There are tutorials on building automatics out of PractiCAD Autoflex options. And the automatics are much, much better because each automatic will be specific to one technique. For example, here we're going to press OK. And you can see the route is correct now that we've fixed it. And what we do normally is we just go through the tabs one at a time to make sure each option is correct. Now, depending upon your data, and I don't know what type of data you're using for this exercise currently, but depending upon your data, there will be some Autoflex automatics that are already built. And they are going to differ from user to user. But you're going to want to learn how to build an Autoflex automatic so that you can use the automatic over and over again. So you can see here that we've got one for STODs. So we can just click on the duct I'd like and the grill I'd like, and I can just come right here and press one button, and I can already get a route that I'd like to use instead of answering all those questions. So there'll be exercises on building Autoflex automatics. I recommend going through those exercises as well. That'll conclude the exercise on Autoflex automatics for now.